I'm going to make sure there's no power coming to the unit that I'm going to be working on. So what I'm going to do, find my breaker box, find the breaker for the AC. See, there's two different breakers here. One's for the AC and one's for AH, which is the air handler, the inside portion of the split system air conditioning. Now this is going to be the one I'm turning off. That will deactivate any power going to the disconnect that you saw me showing you earlier. Before I do anything on this unit, I'm going to make sure I have no power coming to the, since I turned off the breaker. If you have power, you'll hear something like a steady beep on this tester. Something like that, only longer. I'll put this back in so I don't lose it in the storage. To access the fan wiring, see the wiring runs here. There's the cover there for all the wiring. That needs to come off. And I'm going to take a picture of how it's wired before I disconnect anything. This is the capacitor. It's used to give the motors extra power to start up with. So again, before I touch anything, absolutely sure there's no power, because if there's power here and you touch something, you may never wake up. This is a contactor I'm touching. I can feel it buzzing because the air conditioner is turned on in the inside. This contactor is pulled in. That's just 24 volts, but it can still give you a little bit of a jolt. So I'm going to go shut off the AC at the thermostat and at the breaker. And then when we come back, this will be disengaged and I'll be able to push it out and in. We'll see that in a moment. Thermostat, set system to off. Back at the breaker panel, you can see where I turned the air conditioning system off. The air handler is still on, and so was the thermostat. So now everything is off. And we'll go look at that little contactor again, and you can see the difference. Here we are back at the AC. The contactor is now de-energized. See, I can push it back and forth now. Nothing's happening, there's no buzzing. So now the system is totally de-energized, except for the capacitor. This will hold a heck of a jolt, and it will knock you on your keister. So what you need to do, I'm going to get some needle nose pliers and disconnect these wires. The ones that need to be disconnected. Now I need to find which ones are which for the fan. So I'll be tracing that out, and then disconnecting the leads of the fan from inside this wiring harness compartment. So remember, the fan wire harness comes across the top of the fan cage and comes out here. So we have these three wires, a purple, an orange, and a black. So these are the three wires I need to disconnect from the harness to remove the fan. So I'm going to be taking pictures with my cell phone to remind myself where these wires go on the new fan motor. More than likely the new fan motor will have different colored wires, so I'll have to be sure to find out which wire coincides with the new colors when I hook them up. I'm going to discharge the capacitor because, like I said, it has a good jolt on it. So the way I do that is just to use a screwdriver and go across all points of the contactor to touch each other. You should discharge it. A couple of things we can do here. Because these wires are probably going to be different colors than the new ones, you can use your needle nose pliers and pull off each lead individually. What I've done in the field before is just actually go back a ways and clip the wire here, and then use a safe connector for the new wire so I don't lose track of where these wires go. That way I have a short lead of the colored wire still connected. So that's what I'm going to do in this case. Even though this is a de-energized unit, you always want to use insulated tools, at least rubber coated handles. Never use any bare metal tools. I'm going to go back on this one, clip it back here. The black wire, go back a ways and clip it. That's 2 of the 3. And the last one is the orange wire. Just clip it right there. There we go. So now the fan wires are totally clipped off, disconnected. Now I'll start on the cage, which I will not record because it's just removing screws. Alright, removing the fan cage assembly from the top of the air conditioning unit. All the screws are taken off from the outside. Just got to protect the wire mesh cage around it. Straight out. Here we are. This fan should be spinning freely for quite a while. This one is pretty stiff. I'll compare this with the new one once we get it put on. Since I have the fan cage off, I'm going to go ahead and clean the inside of this unit. Take out all the trash. And I'm going to get a hose and hose the coils from the inside out. Your air always moves in from the outside in, so it sucks in dirt this way and it can collect, especially if you have 2 coils like this one. The air out of the dirt will trap in there, and you can see stuff, plant material, animal hair, combination of different things. When you do this, be very careful not to damage or bend the coils like you see here, because every little bend and fold in your coils reduces the efficiency of your system. Spraying them from the inside out that way. Again, be careful what kind of water jet you use, because even that can bend the coils. So use a softer spray and spray it directly. If you do have a stream, make sure you spray it directly to the fins. If you blow sideways, even a little bit of a water pressure can make dents or can bend the fins over. I'm not saying that's what happened here, but that's just an example of what your fins look like when they're bent over. There are fin combs available. If you know how to use them, you can use that to straighten the fins back out again. I don't happen to have that with me, but it's not terrible. I've seen much worse. That's much better. Now let's put the screws back in it, put the cage back together.